If you have $500,000 in your TSP at retirement, is that enough for you to have a great retirement and never have to worry about running out of money? Well, for some of my clients, it is. For others, not even close. Today, we're going to dive into how you can know if what you have in the TSP is going to be enough for you to have the retirement that you want, and so you never have to worry about running out before you die. Because that's the fear of all of us, is we don't want to run out of money before we die. Okay, we want it to outlive us and to make sure we're comfortable the entire time. So today, even if you have $500,000, $1 million, $100,000, I don't care what you have, $3 million in your TSP, whatever you have today, we're going to go over the steps you need to take to make sure you know it's going to be enough. Because guess what? It varies wildly. For some people, $1 million is plenty. For some, $1 million is not even close to enough. It just depends on what goals you have and what income you're used to and what you want in retirement, what other income you might have, okay? So again, this will help anyone understand where they stand and if you are prepared to retire the way that you want, okay? Now, here's the deal. Before we can even talk about the TSP to understand if that's going to be enough, you've got to understand the other income sources that are going to be there, because that's going to be the foundation to your retirement, okay? Number one, your FERS pension. Now, if you don't know what your FERS pension is going to be, number one, I've got videos on how to calculate. You could go check that out. Now, what you're going to want to do anyway, though, is you're going to want to ask your HR for an estimate, okay? An estimate. When you ask them for an estimate, they're either going to run one for you or they're going to give you access to software so you can run one for yourself. Regardless, though, you're going to want to get an estimate from them in some form or fashion of your pension, your FERS pension as a civilian federal employee, so you understand what that's going to be, okay? Next, if you are retiring before 62, you are probably going to be eligible for the FERS supplement on top of that. Again, that is going to show up. That is going to show up on this estimate, okay? So if you do run an estimate, the FERS supplement will show up on there. You'll have information about that. Now, when it comes to Social Security, that is not going to be on that estimate. You're going to want to go to ssa.gov, the Social Security's website, and to pull a statement. Now, that process can take a little bit to get you verified and actually get you into the system. So start that now, especially if you're retiring pretty soon. You want to start that ASAP. Even if you're young, go to ssa.gov, make an account, get some statements so you have an idea of what your Social Security is going to be one day, okay? So this is the foundation. You've got to know what your pension is going to be, your FERS supplement if you're retiring before 62, or your Social Security if you're retiring after 62, okay? You've got to know this stuff. This is the foundation. If you don't know this, you're not going to know if you can retire. You just can't, okay? Next, if you have other income, whether a military retirement, VA disability, rental income, whatever it is, add that in, okay? Put it on this list, okay? Add all these things up, get a piece of paper out, get an Excel sheet going, I don't care. Just start lining everything up so you understand what all these things are going to be, okay? What all these things are going to be. Now, this is one of the most important pieces. On this estimate, you're going to see a few different things. First, there's going to be your gross amount, right? Let's say, for example, your pension is going to be $3,000 a month, okay? However, let's say your pay, right, as a federal employee is $100,000 a year, or 150 or 50 grand, whatever it is. If your gross salary is 150 grand, do you actually get 150 grand in your bank account every single year? The answer is no, not even close to that amount, right? We've got deductions, we've got things we got to pay for. The same thing applies in retirement. So if your gross pension is $3,000, you're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to pay for your health insurance premiums. You're going to pay for any other insurance premiums you have and survivor benefits. There's going to be a whole host of things, which hopefully this estimate is going to be accurate about. You're going to want to check that to make sure all these deductions they have coming out are accurate and they actually match your situation. But let's say at the end of the day, you may be left with $1,500, right? After survivor benefits, after everything comes out, taxes, let's say you're left with $1,500 net from your pension, okay? And then let's say your first supplement is, let's say, $2,000, okay? However, after taxes, let's say it's $1,500, okay? Again, I'm making these numbers up just to keep them easy and simple, but let's say that's the case. So your pension, net pension is $1,500, and your net FERS supplement is again $1,500 after taxes. Okay, the only thing that would come out of your your supplement is taxes, or if you make over the earnings limit, you'll get reduced as well. But basically, just taxes. So let's say again let's say your net income from your foundational income sources, let's say net is $3,000 a month. Let's just say, okay, just as an example. So from your pension and the FERS supplement, you're going to get $3,000 net cleared after taxes, after everything, every single month in retirement. This is the first step. If you don't know what your foundation is going to be, don't even go to your TSP yet. Okay, you're not ready. You're not ready. But once you figure out roughly net what your income is going to be from your foundational sources here, we can then go to the TSP. Now let's go there. The next thing we have to do is pull out a TSP statement wherever that is, right? Log in, get a TSP statement, and see what is your balance right now as of today. Okay, as of today. In this example, let's say your balance again is this $500,000. Okay, 500K. 500K. If your balance is 500K, the way we're going to do this to estimate what your TSP can provide for you for the rest of your life with never having to worry about running out, we're going to use the 4% rule. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining it. Just know it's a very good rule of thumb to use in retirement planning to see how much you can spend every month without worrying about running out. Okay, let's do the math. Now, if, again, you have 500K, what the 4% rule says is you want to multiply whatever balance you have at retirement by 4%. So if we do that math, 4%, that equals $20,000. Okay? So what the 4% rule says is in year one of retirement, you can spend 20 grand from your $500,000 and never have to worry about running out. Okay, it's 20 grand a year, and you can increase this 20 grand a year with inflation as inflation happens over time. So let's say the next year is 21,000, 22,000, whatever. It goes up a little bit over time with inflation. Okay, but 20,000 adjusted for inflation for the rest of your life, no problem. Okay, that's what the 4% rule says, is take your balance, multiply by 4%, and that's what you can spend per year adjusted for inflation for the rest of your life. Okay, so do the math for you. What balance do you have in your TSP? Multiply by 4%. That is the amount that it can provide for you in retirement. Now, if that amount is not what you want it to be, save more, work longer. There's a few things you can do to get to where you want to go. Okay, but about $500,000 will provide $20,000 gross in retirement. Okay, now let's say that this $20,000, let's say your entire TSP is the traditional TSP, and not Roth. If you understand the difference, you know that the traditional TSP is pre-tax, meaning this $20,000 is not all yours to spend. A piece of it has to go to taxes. Okay, a piece of it has to go to taxes. So let's say you're left with $16,000 after taxes. Okay, $16,000 per year net. $16,000 per year net. Now, one thing, let's do some quick math here. So $16,000 per year, what we want to do is we want to change this to a monthly number because all our other income is monthly. Okay, all our other income is monthly. So let's get my handy dandy calculator out here. So 16,000, right, divided by 12, about 1,300. Okay, so if we divide this by 12, we get about 1,330, roughly. Okay, so again, estimating about $500,000 can provide you about $1,300 a month of income net after tax for the rest of your life. And again, that depends on your tax bracket, but roughly speaking, that's probably where you're going to be about. Okay, so now this is what your TSP can provide. This is what your pension and FERS supplement will provide, right? So let's add them together. So we get 4,000. Boom. $4,333 is what you can get from your pension, FERS supplement, $500,000 in your TSP, net clear in your bank account every single month. Okay? That is what it can provide. That is what you can have in retirement. Now, the big answer, the big question of the day is that enough? Is that enough? That's the question. Now, some people say, oh yeah, that's enough. Some people just have kind of a sense about it, right? But in my opinion, what I like to do to actually put some numbers behind this is to look at what you're actually spending now, right? If you don't know what you're spending now, it's hard to know what this number would mean for you in retirement, right? Most people want to maintain their lifestyle. Most people want to have about what they have while they're working, right? They want to have about that in retirement. So how do we compare apples to apples, right? Well, what about your pay stubs? Pull out your LES, right? And look at your net pay, because for most people, that net pay is what hits their bank account and actually funds their lifestyle, and actually is what they net live on, right? This is what you're gonna net in retirement to actually live off of. What do you net right now? So pull out your pay stub, right? What is your net pay? What is your net pay? Okay, and if your net pay is, let's say, $2,000 every 2 weeks, well, let's again do some math here. If your net pay is $2,000, let's say it's $2,000 every 2 weeks, okay? How do we change that to a monthly number so we can compare apples to apples? Because again, this is monthly. This is monthly. Right now you get paid every 2 weeks, okay? So $2,000 multiplied by 26, because there's 26 pay periods in a year, okay? So take whatever your net pay is, pull your LES, pull that out, take your net pay, multiply by 26, okay, 26. Now, let's divide by 12. Let's divide by 12. So if we take 2,000, multiply by 26, and divide by 12, we actually get exactly this, right? 4,333. Now, I actually didn't plan this out perfectly, but this worked out perfect. These numbers match perfectly, okay? 4,333 is the net amount they expect in retirement from their pension, their FERS supplement, $500K in their TSP to provide this amount in retirement. And right now, if your net pay is $2,000 every 2 weeks, that's $4,300 every month. And they match up. They match up. Okay, so if the goal was to replicate what you're doing now while working in retirement, in this example, you'd be able to do so. You'd be able to replicate that, okay? You'd be able to replicate what you're taking home now. And if right now is comfortable, you're not getting into debt, you're living the lifestyle you want right now with this amount of income, then in retirement, you're probably going to be able to do so as well. Again, this is just a place to start. This is a way to approach it, right? And I know it's messy and there's a lot of numbers. So if you're not a numbers person, hang in there, right? But here's the facts. Even if you're not a numbers person, numbers affect you. The numbers have to work for you to make your retirement work, okay? So I hope that's helpful. If there's any follow-up questions or if you want to see more things like this, there is actually a link in the description below where you can submit questions to us, and we take those questions in and we basically base our future content on the questions we get from you guys. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful to make sure you guys can have the retirement that you want. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.